If you're hearing that song, you know what time it is. It's time for some Braves talk. Grab that cup, salute, and let's get after it. It's the Iceman, Matt Freites. Welcome, everybody. Of course, over there, the two knuckleheads, the coach, the OG. What's up, fellas?
Iceman, doing well, my friend. Excited for the home opener this weekend. Excited to talk a little bit of Bradley basketball. Excited that we have a game to talk about, even though it didn't go our way, but plenty to talk about there, plenty to look forward to. And I know that the OG is pumped as well.
Excited to be here. Yeah, caught you off guard, didn't I?
You were right on it.
All right. Yeah. Let's go, man. I'm ready for a home game.
I would hope so, Rick.
And
You
the
got a lot
rest
of
of the
yelling at
season get
refs to do
going.
here, don't you?
I don't never yell at refs. Never.
Absolutely not.
I
Absolutely not.
respect refs.
Well,
Probably have
fellas,
to sit in the cheap seats.
I would say that this week didn't go as planned in terms of how we wanted to start the season, but we're not going to focus on all the negatives because I think there's a lot of positives. First game of the season. And again, the Bonnies came out and did what they had to do to win this game. There was some streaky play from the Braves. There's a lot of question marks that we have as of right now as to how guys can contribute, what the future looks like, but there's so much time left in the season. It's one game. So, Brad, why don't you walk us through kind of what your general overview was of the game, and we'll kind of break it down before we get to the home opener against Central Michigan a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we obviously don't want to be negative because, like you said, it's the opener. There's a long ways to go. And we all know, as much as we would love the Valley to be a multi-bid league, it really comes down to winning Arch Madness, right? When it's all said and done, and especially the way that things are looked at now by the committee. But it doesn't mean we can't be honest, right, about what we saw on Monday. And I
Absolutely.
think that really what came away is that, the three that stick out, right? AJ, Meta, Timo. We can't have, nearly a zero from those guys. And and I kind of accumulated their stats as I was looking through making some notes, and they combined for 8 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, 5 turnovers, 1 block, and 4 steals, and 66 total minutes. And that's a solid game out of one person, right? I mean, and the fact that those three guys combined for that cumulatively is concerning. I mean, two of those guys are starters, and they all played around the 20-ish minutes. And I just think that we have to have more out of those guys, especially. I mean, I'm not saying I'm giving Timo a pass because he, he played a lot of minutes, but especially Meta and AJ. Those guys are in, they're starters. Meta's been on campus now for a while. He understands the system and what he's supposed to do. And I know the system's changed a little bit because of coaching changes. But we got to have more out of him on both ends of the floor. I mean, the one positive is he didn't get himself in a lot of foul trouble. But maybe that means that he didn't play as physically as he could have or should have. I mean, that was a physical game. A lot of us were predicting AJ to be the leading scorer, and he was far from that. But what before I turn it over to the OG, what I don't want to be lost on this is that our guard play was decent. Um, all three guards were in double figures, and they didn't turn the ball over a ton, which is good. But what this team lacks right now today is they lack they lack a Duke Dean, right? They lack a guy that's capable of putting the team on his back when you got to go win the game. And it's fine to get, like I said, you look at it, you see double figures out of those guys, but then when you look further down the line and you see, that we played 8 guys and 3 of them, like I said, combined for 8 points. Like you can't have that. Um, Corey Thomas came off the bench, did really well. We had 16 total bench points. Again, not great, but when you consider that we only played, we played 3 bench players, and Thomas had 10, Wheeler had 6, and then Timo had 0. Um, Wheeler in his first real game, not a lot to dislike about what he did. Thomas, I think, was great off the bench. He was exactly what we hoped he could be. We got to have more out of, like I said, those 3: AJ, Meta, Timo. If they're going to keep playing, which I mean, AJ and Meta are going to keep playing those minutes, right? Their minutes, if anything, are going to increase. They're not going to decrease. Timo's the one that's really going to have to start producing, I think, to preserve his minutes. But you know, we'll see where things go from here. I have confidence that things will get corrected, and we'll see a little different version of the Braves. on Saturday night. But we'll turn it over to the OG and get his thoughts on the subject.
Before you go, Rick, I want to ask a question to you guys in the chat. I want you in the chat to put, if the three of us, me, Rick, and Brad, had to get those kind of minutes in this game, what percentage do you think could we have accumulated these stats? A little self-deprecating humor for us. Go ahead, Rick. Let's hear about it.
Okay,
No. It's not up to us. It's up to the chat. I want to hear it. I think we could be okay.
Give me the question again.
Could we have accumulated those stats if the three of us had rotated into that game for that amount of time?
Absolutely not.
What are you talking about?
Absolutely not.
Your dad is going to sit in the corner. Corner three guy. What are you talking about?
I could have matched AJ's.
No, you could not.
I could have matched AJ's shooting stats.
No, you could not make a basket in a Division I basketball game. 0% chance. I love you. There's a 0% chance you could make a basket in a Division I basketball game.
He was 1 for 7.
You would be 0 for 8. Like or 0%. There's no, you cannot make a basket in a Division I. I can't either. I'm not claiming.
See, we needed a little levity to the situation, fellas. We're coming in on a loss. We got to get a little laugh in here.
Yeah.
But I
don't like his chances against ICC. To hell with Bonnie and Valparaiso. Like, I don't like his chances against East Peoria High School.
Okay. Truth be known, and I'll fess up. Up here at the playground hoops, unguarded, I have yet to make one.
Hey, kudos to you for owning that.
Perfect. That's a perfect segue, Rick, to give us your analysis of the game.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to be negative either, but there was a lot of talk, coming out of the summer workouts and since the end of last season on Meta. He's really worked hard. He's improved greatly. This and that, maybe not the exact same words, but definitely improving his game. And right now I'm saying, show us the money. I'm not seeing it. I'm just not. In fact, in some cases, I might even say a little bit of a step back. He needs to be a lot better. And, he can be. Maybe he's altering shots,
Just up your own
but
words
still,
there.
he needs to. We need him to score as well, and there's more to being a good player and improving than just scoring. I mean, there's rebounding, and his rebounding was like nothing. I mean, it was a little bit better than that. It was like 3 at 7-1.
Well, and you're right.
He needs to be much better.
Yeah.
In fact, all of our front line needs to be better rebounding.
Yeah. I mean, in the past, when you've had the Darius Hannahs and Malvi Leons of the world, you could get by with saying, you know what, Meta adds value because he's a defensive presence. He forces guys to alter their shots, as you were trying to say. And so, but now it's like, hey, it's your time to step up and be a force and be a factor in these games beyond just, being a rim protector. You have to be an offensive threat. And now I'll say this. I thought he had some good looks. I mean, I think all across the board, we had some really good looks across the board, I thought, and just couldn't put it down.
It happens.
And yeah, and that's something you'd hope's going to come with time or whatever. And like, it's nice to see that we're doing things to get guys in positions to take open shots. You like to see that. They got to fall. But it's I'm not obviously it's one game, right? Not writing Meta off by any means. Like there's plenty of time for things to change. It's one game.
Oh yeah.
And really, I mean, it's one of those things. We can be as frustrated as a fan base as we want to be with like the play of certain players, but like it's like these college football coaches that get fired and you ask the question of that's great, that's fine, but who are you going to hire? Right?
Who's next?
Like if you want to bench Meta, no one's saying that, but like let's just say that it gets to that point where everyone's who are you going to play? I get you have Caillou, but like the guy's brand new in the system, he doesn't speak English. Like there's a huge learning curve there that has to take place. I think he's athletic enough that he's going to help us at some point, but like Meta's going to have to figure it out because there's nowhere else to go, right? At least for that volume of minutes that you hope that he's able to give us. And then the same thing with the guards, right? I mean, between Demarion Birch, Jaquan Johnson, Montana Wheeler, like I know we got the young guys, okay, but like I imagine those 3 guys are probably making a decent amount of money, and they need to produce, right? And there's nowhere to go beyond that. If you do, you're sort of like waving the white flag and saying, okay, like you're almost like accepting that you're in rebuilding mode or something if you decide that like we're going to move on from some of these guys and go to the young guys. Um, and I know that's might be a little hyperbolic, but I think that these guys are going to have to figure it out because there's nowhere to turn.
I will say this, Brad, and I did call you, or we talked after the game. You were on your way home. It's like probably the first time we ever talked like immediately after a game. And I did say this to you, and I think that it's true. It's not about the stats per se, and I think Rick, you said this before we came on about it. It's more than just looking at the numbers, right? You're diving deeper into, in my opinion, the quality of the time in which they're spending on the court. And Brad, you've said this a lot about bench players. So and so put in quality minutes, which is what you want. You go out there, and when you're watching as a fan, you feel as if the time that they've spent out in the court has been somewhat meaningful. And when I was watching the three guys that we highlighted at the top of the show, it didn't feel that way to me. It kind of just felt like they were eating up minutes, eating up space. Now, thinking about it more a few days later, I kind of wonder if, as a part of the growing pains of this team that we've already highlighted, these guys are trying to figure out sort of what their roles are going to be. And some of these guys are trying to figure out and find the confidence to step up into roles that maybe they're not sure or not even aware that they need to have as of yet. I mean, Meta hasn't really started a whole lot since we started doing this show. So this is kind of a new role for him. And I think the expectations are a little bit high. Well, you know what I mean? Like the expectations are a little bit higher now when you're eating up those kind of minutes. And what I saw in this game was, like you said, looks didn't go down. It happens. You can't really do much about that. You want to make them. Sometimes you just don't. But you want to see more quality minutes from a lot of the guys that are eating up the kind of minutes that they're eating up, especially to Kev's point about the rotation that they're putting out there. If they're going to be locked in at the amount of guys and locked in on the rotation, guys are going to need to step up and kind of figure out what their roles are going to be. At least looking at it from the outside, right? Like I'm not the kind of Bradley fan that everybody else is. I've come into this late. I'm watching it as a basketball fan and of course from the perspective of this show. So I could be totally full of shit.
Well, and I'm not like I know we talked about it in the chat and Kev, obviously, I like you, right? You're my friend. But like I don't think that changing the rotation is the answer at this point in time. Obviously, yeah, like we talked about the things that have to change, especially with those three guys we talked about. Especially Timo is the one that really sticks out. I think we all have we all have more faith maybe that Meta and AJ are going to figure it out. The Timo one's kind of a question mark still. Um, but like I posed, we've talked about, let's say if you're going to put in Dietrich Richardson and play him at the three. And I posed this question to my dad the other day. I said, "Do you think that Dietrich Richardson could guard Christian Davis? Or do you think that Dietrich Richardson could like how he would do if Christian Davis was guarding him, right? Because Christian played at the three a lot for us last season, and a good, solid player, valley level player. And I, I do think, I fully believe that Dietrich Richardson is going to help us. Absolutely, at some point in time. I just don't think it's right now. I think there's some more development that has to happen there. I think, truthfully, that I think Matthew Zobrist is more capable of helping us sooner because of his spot up shooting ability. Because, like you said, you could park him. You mentioned like, well, if you can sit in a corner and hit a three ball, like you can score in a Division One game. And I think that Matthew Zobrist is the type of kid you could put him in limited minutes, run a couple plays for him, get him a couple shots, and he can impact a game. And so I'm not saying that Dietrich, you couldn't find ways to set him up to impact the game positively, but I just don't feel like he's physically like I know he has skills. He has a skill set, right? A tremendous skill set. I fear that his physical limitations, and what I mean is like I just don't think he's very strong. I think he would have gotten ran over in that game on Monday morning, in my opinion. And that's not I'm not trying to crap on that kid at all. Like I said, he's a great talent and he's gonna help us. I just think that there's a lot of development that has to happen before that takes place, and and that's and Kenny said, Atlason didn't play much better than Timo in his first game. You know what though, but like Al was sent packing last year. You know what I mean? Because he had a decent freshman year, but he didn't play great defense and he couldn't hit the three ball consistently enough to keep his job. And and that's in the Wardle system, like you better play defense, but if you can't play defense, you better be able to score the ball consistently. And Al couldn't do that, and Timo better figure out how to do that, or he will find himself out of a job as well fairly soon.
I mean, that was the comp you made when we were on the phone together. You basically said he did the exact same things that Almar doesn't do or didn't do last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, right? I mean, miss open looks for 3, not Al had some great games, not taking anything away from Al. He had some great games, but, like, he would get exposed defensively, and, if he couldn't knock down shots, like I said, like, he was a net negative, unfortunately, most of the time.
Well, luckily we have a solution here, Rick playing power forward on Saturday. So I feel like that is something that I think is going to help us out tremendously. You think you could do it, Rick?
I throw
No,
I could shoot like Rick Barry shot free throws.
Underhanded, I
no.
like it. That would
Yep.
80%, 85%. But Brad, let
Yep.
me ask you, and both of you can answer this or not at the same time, but at some point. When it comes to changing the rotation, and Brad, you've already said that you're not for it, but there is a fine line as to whether you
Not yet
should not
anyways.
yet. No, I agree. But like there is a fine line. And I guess my question is, when is the line? Like at what is it more of a I know it when I see it or a gut feeling thing for you?
I'll turn it to you, Gene, I'll pick up
Um,
after.
well, I think we're at a time that I believe we need to check out other players. I mean, this is the non-con. I mean, oh, yeah, we need to build our season off of this, but in that, we need to get some of our guys some experience, see how they play with others. I thought Caillou might have been, even if he only came in for 5 minutes, let's bring him in, see what he can do. And I'll say the same thing. I mean, with Richardson, bring him in. Let's see what see what he can do. Until he makes a bad mistake and you got to pull him out. But I mean, yeah, I know, we want to win games, but we also need to find out who can come in and play and help us. And, Saturday is going to be an ideal game for some of this because should be a game that, we should win fairly handily, I would think. So I don't know. We're at the time, we always play for the tournament. So
Sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the wrong button
yeah,
there.
you always cut
No,
me
I
out.
didn't mean to. I really didn't. Sometimes I do it on purpose. That time I did not. And I'll leave you open in case you want to chime in. I think that, and I see Kevin said, that he's comparing it to like Hodgson and Lundy. Lundy was an upperclassman, right? Like a guy that had been around for a couple years and stuff, experience. Like we're talking about a true freshman player. So I don't think that's I get you're talking about the situation, not comparing the
Lundy
players.
was a one-off.
I get that. And so I don't want to, draw too many parallels because I understand that there's a difference. Um, I the thing is this, I totally like I'm not saying I just blindly trust the coaches because like they're human and they make mistakes, right? And I understand that all coaches have egos to some degree. Part of that, I mean, a lot of that is what makes them successful. But like these guys have a vested interest in putting the best basketball team on the floor.
I agree.
They have spent the most time with the players. And because of those 2 factors alone, like, they have a very they have a baseline of trust when it comes to me. And, Wardle has a
Yeah.
reputation of developing a team, especially over the year, and they come together, and, I have no reason to believe that Brian Wardle's pride or whatever is getting in the way of him putting the best team on the floor.
Well, it
And
was
so, like,
mentioned.
I think, these guys have been around all summer and all preseason, and, like, you said now I disagree with you in the sense where you say now is the time to try things out. No, like the 2 exhibition games were the time to try things out. Preseason,
If
practice
you're a
scrimmages.
veteran team, I agree with you, but we're not necessarily a veteran team as we have been. We've got a lot of young new pieces. We need to get them in there in an actual D1 game. See, even if it's 4 or 5, 10 minutes, and especially if they come in and are hot. Hey, Boise winners. That's how he got going. They brought him in, and one night in a non-con, I believe it was, he went off as a freshman, and that's what set him going. I'm not saying any of these other guys can do the same thing, but I mean, we don't know. But I know it was mentioned by coach that, maybe we need to start Meta and Corey Thomas together, and I'm not going to disagree with that. One more 1 and 7 out of AJ, and sorry, you're coming off the bench, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, and I see the comments, and they're good comments. I thank you guys for chiming in. Like, this is exactly what Like, I love this, like, perfect, and I think that, and maybe that's right. I said at the top, that the goal is always win Arch Madness, right? Because just the unfortunate truth most of the time is that barring some semblance of perfection in the non-con, like an at-large bid for the Valley is, not necessarily in the cards right now. So I can't say that and then sit there and say that now is not the time to try different things. I get those are contradictory thoughts. Fair enough. But I guess I don't know.
Let me go to
Yeah,
Joey's
yeah. Go ahead.
Joey's comment there, up 6 and then we didn't score for 3:30. And I don't remember, I remember when we went up, but I don't remember if there were any subs brought in, but that has been a well documented uh, case of we get on a run and then next thing you know, the guys that got us in that run are sitting on the bench. I think Kevin will, back me up on that one. We've seen that hundreds of millions of times, it seems like, a little exaggeration.
Yeah, and Kevin, I see your comment there about like, yeah, and that's totally I get that. Like, and maybe that's in my head how I'm thinking about it is literally like tit for tat, like, okay, you're now losing your 20 minutes. Dietrich Richardson's getting those 20 minutes. And I get that's not realistic. And I get what you're saying. I would imagine that there's room for 5 or 6 minutes, maybe, you know, um, for some of these guys to put them in those situations and see how they play. And, and I think and this is something that people like to scoff at a little bit, but there's such a thing as a gamer, right? A guy that I know that like Wardle's not wired that way because like he refers a lot to practice, which is fine. I mean, as a coach, I get it, but there's such a thing as a guy that you can just go out there and turn it on when the lights are brightest, and maybe we have a couple of those guys. Um, Ultimately, I don't care who's on the floor. I just want to see the best version of Bradley basketball. And my point ultimately is I feel like Brian Wardle and the coaching staff do too, and
They
that they're
do.
putting what they feel
And
like.
they know more about
That's my
the
thing.
inner workings
Yes.
That's my
than
thing.
us, but this is
These
just
guys know way
we're
more.
just
We're all
fans
fans.
and
We see what we see. Yeah, we might hear rumblings here and there of different, whispers and opinions. But like out of everyone involved, they know the most and they have the most at stake in terms of this being successful. And I'm willing to defer, for the most part. I mean, I say for the most part as if I really like know more. I don't know more at all. Like I am willing to defer to the staff and them making the best decision. I am not qualified to be the head basketball coach or even the water boy at Bradley University for that matter.
Oh, I don't know about that, Brad. You make a pretty good water boy.
I don't know. I like Aaron's here for hokey talk though, just trying to throw a little wrench in things.
Yeah, maybe we'll squeeze that in. By the way, the Hokies are playing Providence College this weekend, so a little home battle for me as the old hometown Friars are coming to, or I don't know where they're playing. It's some tournament. Anyway, that's not what we're here about. But I will say this before we move on to Central Michigan. Thinking about it from a business perspective, when you have these guys who you know or you hope are going to contribute at some point, not just this year, but later on in the year, and you know they're going to cost money, there is something to be said about finding out what you have in them as early as possible, getting them some kind of time when you can. I understand during a critical game, like this was a close game, so maybe not giving them the kind of
yeah.
minutes that we're talking about here, but you kind of want to know what you have. And either one or two things are going to happen. They're either going to step up and they're going to show you something, or they're not going to. And you need to figure that out because if next year comes along and these guys haven't had any critical minutes and all of a sudden they're starting, well, that's going to be fascinating, isn't it? And so that leads us to our first home game, right? Carver is going to be rocking. I know everybody's going to be showing up here. Central Michigan comes in. I always love those directional teams. And this is a game I think I already heard Rick say that they should win this pretty handily. But let's segue into this game, fellas.
Let it rip, Dad.
Yep. Well, here we go. They got 10 guys that played. Now, like I said, 10 guys that played Monday in their game against App State. They had one guy that played over 30 minutes, and it was their leading scorer. They only had two guys that scored in double figures. A guard, Adley. Now, he's going to be a handful for whomever. And then McIntyre, he scored 14. Adley had 23. But they was very even in minutes played for all 10 guys that they played. But it's just a matter of output. Point wise, they did rebound very well, so I think they're going to be very active. They got a center, a 7-foot center, 230 pounds, so he's about 35 pounds lighter than Meta. But a stat line is very similar to Meta. He had 4.7 boards, but Meta, of course, didn't get 7 boards, but it shows he's active on the boards and had 3 assists, only had 1 block with 1 turnover in his game. But for Kevin out there, you might remember this guy. They had a guard, scored 9 points, played 22 minutes. Keenan Garner, you remember him from Fishers, went to Ooey Pooey. He's now up at Central Michigan. He was the starter Monday. They got another big guy, 6'10", Mullen, played 15 minutes, had 8 points. So, I mean, they scored 82, but everybody scored, and one guy had 2, 5, 6, 8, 5. So I mean, it was spread out, but you had 2 guys to worry about. As a team, they were what'd I say? 8 of 17 from 3, but
It was all one guy, right? Pretty much?
no, 8 of 8. Well,
But
8 of
the
7.
makes.
Hang on, 8 of 17 from 3 as a team. Uh, Adley and McIntyre shot 7 for 8. Means the rest of the team was 1 for 9. So we're gonna have to be on Adley and McIntyre, but the others took shots from 3. They just weren't very good. So, but hey, you know how it happens to when they come into Carver. It seems like everybody seems to be lights out. So, but you just got to watch them 2 guys, Adley and McIntyre. Uh, Looks to be the guys that they're going to go to a lot. They're both guards. So it's going to be an interesting. I think we should. I haven't been able to see them on film to compare. I tried to look for a game. I couldn't find one. But it's going to be should be one that we walk away with here at home.
Yeah, and just so you guys ever doubt the effort of the OG, okay? This man's got notes, okay? I mean, this is like handwritten. Like honestly, the only reason it's handwritten is because he can't go out and chisel it in the stone. Okay. Um, you talk about the effort this guy puts into like especially scouting the opponents. I can't wait. I can't
Uh,
wait until we have a game this year.
We're gonna have to watch because they are an 83%
He's
free
right back
throw
into it.
shooter.
He's right back
Brad,
Yeah.
who is the guy who got in trouble for Michigan? Was it Connor Stallion? Is that what his
Connor
name was?
Stallions, yeah. I'm waiting for the post-game show sometime
We
when,
got him right
Brian
here.
Wardle goes when Brian Wardle's like, "We had Rick Powell on the scout this week."
I'm telling you, like
Um,
that. You think that's crazy? He's got the time. He
Hey.
analyzes the teams. I don't scoff at that whatsoever because I think that is a legitimate avenue for you, Rick. And I'm not making fun of you at all.
I know.
it's, and yeah, Aaron mentioned it. Yeah, the name of the week, Fat Brooks, if that's how you pronounce it for
Yep.
for Central Michigan.
Yep.
Um, love that. No, I mean, it's a more broad view of the Chippewas. They're 1-0. They have a win over App State. They are currently 270 in the Kin Palm, so that's definitely a rankings killer if you drop that game at home, at least at this point in time.
Oh, I'd say so.
But really, just like we talked about before the St. Bonaventure game, and I asked Dad, I said, "Hey, we're gonna do a show. You want to dig into Central Michigan a little bit?" And he said, "Yes, obviously he did."
He
And he
pulled
said
out
it
the
when I
notes
mentioned it
already.
to
He's
him.
like, I already have.
I already have him. Yeah, been scouting him for months. He
Actually, about 10 o'clock this morning.
yeah, what he did though, he said what I thought he would say, which is what I was thinking, and that is that this game doesn't Central Michigan is irrelevant in this game. It's about Bradley. And yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more, man. And like I said, like we were talking about going into the opener, way more has to do way more with Bradley doing what Bradley needs to do than it does about St. Bonaventure. And especially here, like Central Michigan just happens to be the opponent, but this is way more about Bradley fixing Bradley and playing Bradley basketball than it is about Central Michigan and what they have going on. And obviously, it's the coach's job to like get a good scout and make sure we have a good game plan. But game plans are only as good as the players who have to execute them, right? And so I just hope we see some improvement. I think we saw a few things, and again, this is not me reverting back to the Bonaventure game, but it's things we saw that need to be improved upon in this game. We saw a few guys get lost on defense, right? Hubris got lost, in one of those last couple of possessions, um, and left the guy open for a 3-point shot. And I know similar things happened a few other times. We had a few issues offensively here and there, and so those are things that again, I don't want to write it off as like you have new players coming together, new coaches, because that's just the name of the game these days with
Yeah.
everybody. So it's not really an excuse per se
Well,
as it could have been in the past, but it's also a reality,
It's still
right?
well,
something.
Like, yeah, it's
hey,
also a reality.
we did see. I believe Birch got himself going a little bit, even though I think a lot was more in the second half. Bully he scored all his points in the second half, but they got more involved in doing what they do. It's like I believe coach in the post game said he's just was telling Bully, I mean, be you. Just be yourself, and that's what they all need to do.
I was ready to break out in the BU chant.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Be you,
I mean,
be
Birch
you.
found his game or his shot anyway, and he's actually the one responsible for bringing us back to tie it. Well, I mean, the 3-pointer or 3-point shot being fouled by with Corey Thomas, but yeah, but Joey, you're exactly right. That's what I was getting ready to hit on is free throw shooting. Birch Birch was 3 for 5. Bully, what was Bully? I forgot what he was. I got it right here.
It wasn't when I looked at it. I mean, obviously, it wasn't like great overall, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be
No, but
when I dug into the box
Well,
score.
the no I
Like,
mean,
it
we
was just
only we only
timely.
shot like
yes.
13 free throws,
It was just the timing
but we
of
only had
the
like
misses was rough.
we only had like, well, 5 counting Wheeler,
Hey,
but
can we talk about Corey Thomas though, knocking down those 3 when he
yeah,
got
I mean,
fouled on the three-pointer? Those are huge. Those are
Yes.
3
yeah,
big
but
free throws in
but
that moment.
but still, I mean, there's other things with his game that, we really rely on him that he wasn't even close to being the player we need him to
Who's
be.
that? Corey
Thomas.
Thomas was not why we lost this game, though. Like, I
No,
mean,
no, no, no,
no, I know
I'm
that,
not
but, like,
saying
if
that.
anything, I thought Corey was one of the bright spots.
Well, you get
Again,
in
I don't let's not keep beating the drum on
no,
Bonaventure, but, like, it
but
I'm hopeful, though. We're gonna see improvement. We're gonna see progress. If we don't, then we can come back here next week and talk about it.
yeah, 6 of
But
22 from 3 and then 9 of 13, but, I mean, that's just under 70%, but still our shooters, we only had like I said, 4 guys mainly, 5 counting Wheeler with 1 shot, but yet AJ was 2 for 2, Bully was 3 for 5, Birch was 1 for 2, and, that's pretty much it.
yeah, the team was 9 for 13, like Joe
But
said.
our shooters need to be much better free throw shooters than what they are.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to see. I'm excited to see the adjustments, right? I think we'll see some.
Yeah.
And again, though, I go back to what I said earlier in the show. This team lacks a guy, at least right now, that seems to be capable of putting the team on his back.
Closest
Um,
thing we got right now is I'm gonna say is Birch.
I would and I think because he is like I think he plays fearless, which is great. I just there's I don't know, man.
But
Like
I would not be hesitant to put that ball in the hands of Wheeler either.
sure, I mean, whatever. I'm not doubting
I
him.
got
That's
that
just a
much
lot to put on a
confidence.
freshman, man. Like,
I
and what it felt to me like down the stretch is I felt like we were trying to make Alex Hubris that guy. We were trying to really like put the load on him, and I just don't think that that's.
I think Wheeler's got the
I
ice in his veins a little more than anybody else on the
I
team.
feel
I mean,
like
if you're needing a 3, I think you gotta hit Wheeler
I
up.
I'm not a basketball aficionado when it comes to X's and O's, but, like, I feel like hubris is gonna be best when, like, the other guards are going well, right? When we can get that driving kick game going. Like,
Yeah.
he's a great player, but I feel like he's a great, like, number 2, right? A great supplemental piece to, to a star player. And like I said, you can have a team of role players, but everyone has to fulfill their role, and that didn't happen. So, um, I'm curious to see probably if you're in the non-conference, if somebody kind of emerges as that guy that's really gonna like take charge. It just from a leadership perspective. I mean, maybe not even a production perspective. Just kind of that leader on the floor, right?
I mean, that's what I said earlier, right? Where these guys maybe don't even know that that's what their role could be. And so they're kind of still trying to find it. But we do have a couple of important things to get to. First things first, Rick, we need the meta stat line. And I want to see that in the chat too.
Okay, let me see. Metastat line for Saturday night. I'm gonna go 8 points, 6 boards. I'll just leave it at that. 8.6 boards. Anything he does assists, turnovers, lack of turnovers, free throw
Yeah,
shooting.
10 turnovers, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. He doesn't people get worried about him fouling out and stuff. He only had 2 fouls the other day, which tells me, okay, you're not being physical enough. So,
All right, we got
take
a
that for what
question
it's
here. Any
worth.
chance we see the 1-3-1?
At some point, yeah. I think we've seen it in all the games so far.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I
Block for
Set
the
it
Chiefs.
Well, I think of two things too. One, I think you and Kev need an offshoot of Braves talk because I think you guys would just talk each other to death about Bradley.
Yep.
And it'll be one episode. It'd be about 16 hours long, but you guys would get everything out that you could possibly get. And there's something else I was going to say, but at 42 years old, almost 43, I already forgot. So, how do we think the crowd's going to be?
I hope it's good. I mean, it's a 7 o'clock start on a Saturday night, and yeah, I know college football is still rolling or whatever, but I mean, like, come on, like America's team Notre Dame plays at like 11, so
Yeah,
everyone could be able to make it to
I'll
the
have
game
my phone out with
Saturday night.
Peacock on my phone watching the Notre Dame
Is it the same? No, I thought they're playing early.
6:30.
Oh, I thought you said it was at
I
11.
told you the other day, that's why
Yeah,
we had to set my phone up with
whatever. Okay,
Peacock.
no, you're right. You're right. Sorry, whatever. We'll
You guys
watch on
need a
Peacock.
personal
That's fine.
assistant for real.
I do, seriously. But anyways, yeah, so forget all what I just said. But no, I think that I hope the crowd's good. And
Central Michigan, no.
I know, but you know what?
It's a Saturday
know
After
what?
a
night.
No,
loss,
hey,
they
hey,
need to
hold
show
on.
up to give the team.
Saturday night.
Hold up. Go ahead.
5,000.
I'm so tired of this. And I know it's probably more like the older part of the fan base. No, not you, because you'll show up when they're playing an exhibition against like whoever, like you don't care. But like it's just like it's got to be a meaningful game to show up type of thing. Guess what? The Bradley Braves are playing. That's why you show up. Who the hell cares who the other team is? The team you want to see is playing. Be there. Show up.
Kevin,
Get there.
hush your
And
mouth.
all the people here, are going to be there if they can be. If they're local, they'll be there. If they're not, they'll be watching on ESPN Plus or whatever random stream it's on. But it just frustrates me so much how like people, even when we have and this team has the makings of being a very good team, so I'm not saying that, but even when we have what's been established is like this is a good team that's won some games, if it's not some marquee name or like a high stakes Valley game, like people just seem to have a hard time showing up. That pisses me off because you're not coming to watch whoever the other team is. You're showing up to watch the Bradley Braves, man, and they this program deserves all the support that they could get. And like I said, 7 o'clock on a Saturday night. What better do you have to do than be at Carver Arena cheering on the Braves?
I'm absolutely clipping that out and putting it on Twitter because that
Oh,
is
boy.
100% net. Well, no. You're not wrong, Brad. If you're a fan of a team, you support the team. Now, fandom has changed so much and people are very fickle, but in college or collegiate sports, usually fans should be right there. And programs go through ebbs and flows, but it's sad to see even when, like you said, an established good team, they have trouble filling the arena. You don't want to see that. Coming off of a loss, you want the crowd to be there. You want the team to feel that appreciation. Just because they lost doesn't mean that they're not worthy of that appreciation. So I am with you. And one day I would like to get to a game at Carver. We're going to make sure
We'll get
that
you there, buddy.
happens this year. We're going to try and make sure that happens. If I ever go back to work, hopefully one day we can somehow make this happen. But before we get out of here, fellas, the Valley went 6-3 this weekend. There was a lot of chatter about everybody in the Valley but Bradley. What are some of the notable results that we thought were worth mentioning here?
Well, Murray State, they took down Omaha. I think, I don't have. I'll be honest, I don't have my finger on the pulse of the college landscape as a whole. I'm more like Bradley centric. But I know, according to my conversations with my dad, that's a decent win for them, and they look pretty good. Belmont took down Air Force. Valpo beat Eastern Illinois. UIC beat Detroit Mercy.
Drake, I'm not impressed with
Drake
at all.
Drake beat Northern Arizona. But you know what? I'll give him credit for this. They came back. They were down. They could have easily quit, and they didn't. And I told my dad I'm so conflicted watching those games because it's like I want Drake to lose to Northern Arizona so bad just because they're asshole Twitter
Yeah.
people.
Well, I pretty much only
it's
watched
them
the second
losing
half.
that game is bad for the league. So it's like at the same time, it's like, all right, guys, figure it out. Get this thing done.
Yeah, I only watched them, I think, pretty much most of the second half, and I was like, we should run them guys out of the gym. I mean, they just looked like they were just,
Don't say that.
You were saying that shit last year early this season. Like you were ready to bury Drake.
They
Don't
got
do it.
nobody that could shoot like they did last
You had
year.
him like
though.
5th place in your preseason.
Ben McCollum had his picture up as bulletin board material, and he has it at Iowa too right now as he's getting paid more money.
Well, there's a big difference with this Drake team coming in like they are in last year's team. I mean, this coach did not bring
I know.
75% of his team with him.
Sure, but no, I mean overall, like not a bad result for the league as a whole with what we saw. Obviously, we wish the Braves would have gotten their win, but Evansville took one on the chin from Purdue, as you would expect. And who else? Someone else lost, right?
It doesn't
it's
really
escaping me.
matter. I'll say it
But
for everybody in the
no.
room. Fuck Drake and fuck everybody but
Yeah.
Bradley. And that's how
Yeah,
we're going to
and-
wrap this shit up.
Yeah, and what's going to happen?
Wait a
Go
minute.
ahead.
That you posed a question and you only got an answer from me, but I don't know if you heard
We
it.
landed the
You asked-
plane, Rick. We landed the plane. We had
No,
I
you-
dismounted already.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you were wanting no attendance for Saturday.
Oh, attendance. Okay, what you got?
All
You
right.
went on your 10-minute spiel and I, in the
As
middle of that,
one
I
does.
said 5,000.
Means nobody's showing up now.
5,000. That's not terrible. Keep it north of 5,000. I'll accept that. Right. The shitty part is though, they count season tickets as attendance, like no matter if the people show up
Yeah,
or
that's
not.
true.
But
Pad
That's
the numbers.
everywhere.
right, I know, I get it. But what I'm not looking forward to, I shouldn't say this because I'll be as happy as anybody else. I said in the chat, hey, if Dietrich Richardson comes in and scores 20 points, I'll be happy to eat crow. You might hear my children screaming in the background. It's my son Carver
No,
screaming in the
we'll
background.
stick him on that fan for
But-
Valpo.
Yeah. So, but what's going to happen, and I can't wait, I'll be happy as could be if it happens, is like Dietrich's going to come in on Saturday night. He's going to come out there, make some great plays, score 10 points, and Kevin's going to slap me up in the back of the head, say, told you, idiot. And so, hey, I'm here for it, man. Like you do it, you smack me upside the head and told you so, I'll take it. Especially if it results in a W for the Braves.
What do you got, Rick?
My Carver's on here. You got a skeleton pajamas on.
That is excellent.
I got nothing.
All right.
I got my grandson standing here next to the middle. Get in the middle, bud.
All right. Let's
Can
see
you get
him
around
here.
there?
Come over here, skeleton man.
Oh, that's excellent.
It glows in the dark, man.
That is excellent. Are they? I was going to say
My wife wouldn't let me make his middle name Arena as Carver, but Carver Arena wouldn't go over very well. So
Fun trick for everybody in the
But
chat
no,
who has kids that have glow in the dark pajamas. Get yourself a black light. The kids will
Hey,
love you for it.
I will say this for all you guys in the chat, if you're going to be at the game Saturday, behind 121, 221 area, there's a bar, a men's bathroom right there.
Are you signing
come over.
autographs?
For the game, we'll be there.
men's bathroom where all the
Yeah, I'll
dicks
sign
hang out.
autograph or bring a paper and pen. I never bring anything right with.
Oh man,
Oh,
could we
sign it
raise
in
money for
blood.
charity? Yes. Oh God, like
The
Ah.
Bradley basketball.
Yeah, Bradley basketball. Say go Braves.
Go Braves.
I don't know how else we could actually land this plane any better than that, folks. You know where to find us. You know what we're here for. We're here to support the Braves. We're here to support you. We are part of this fan experience. We have a good time doing this. It's been great to be back, and I think we're going to be around a little bit more often than we were last year. Some things to come. Hopefully we can be here for the wins, the losses, ups, the downs. You know how it is. From me, from Brad, from the OG, we hope this finds everybody well and safe, and we'll see you next time. This is Braves Talk.